For breakfast, Albany 783 Triple M. Time to catch up with HR expert Jonathon Woolfrey. How are you, Jonathan?
Good, thanks, Anthony. How are you?
Yeah, going pretty good. One of the words that's used a lot these days is normal. I guess with the hopes of, with lockdowns and the pandemic, people are saying, well, when things get back to normal, I'm going to travel, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other. But one of the things that's not normal at the moment is the office, isn't it? Because a lot of people have begun to function working from home and remotely, which has sort of changed the office field a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've known, I've seen working from home policies for the better part of over a decade, and it's always been on the agenda. But as we know, and as we've talked about together, Anthony, we've rapidly adopted the working from home kind of mindset. But yeah, now we're looking for that new normal. It's probably interesting to see what that might look like.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on working from home versus working in an office?
I think I'm glad we've ripped the Band-Aid off to figure out that it's actually not as hard as some organisations felt to work from home. But I think we're now looking for that middle ground, that new normal. And I looked to some signs from overseas companies, and obviously people overseas, say, for example, the US or the UK, are a little bit further along their COVID journey. I wouldn't say advanced because it's all very subjective. And companies even like Google, the Facebook, all those, they're actually wanting their staff to come back into the office. Not all the time, but, you think that they're very well equipped to work from home, and they are in many respects. But, they're really encouraging their workers to get back into the office. So if we look at what we're seeing around the world and those that might be considering the future of workplaces a little bit more, we're starting to see some signs that it's not just going to be give up on the office.
Okay, are we well placed to work productively and safely in that kind of arrangement?
Yes and no. I think we talked a bit about it last year, that it's not as simple as just going, here, grab your computer and go and sit at home. There's a whole range of considerations, and we're learning more and more about that. We're learning about, particularly from the states over east where people have been working solely from home for extended periods of time, some of the challenges that we really need to be mindful there. So I think we've done well to, as I've said, rip that Band-Aid off, but I think we also still need to be mindful that it's not that simple. So what we're seeing is we definitely have to take care of the workplace health and safety, the physical environment, and employers have an obligation there. But now we need to start thinking about, okay, how do we connect with each other socially through an online environment? How do we work productively, not just interrupt each other with ongoing messages and interruptions and things like this? How do we structure work so that it doesn't get too overwhelming for people when they're always on? There's no respite like the drive home and things like that. So I think we're a better place than we ever have been, but we really need to say, okay, if this is going to be part of our long-term future, we need to think about these things and put them in place and purposefully design them in a way that is sustainable.
It's probably still some way off until the new normal. What should we be considering to put ourselves in the best position to succeed? What should we be doing to, I guess, think about repositioning ourselves?
Yeah, I think it's important that we continue to really understand the technology that facilitates our working from home. And many people I talk to think, oh, yeah, I've got Teams. They see that as being a video platform like a Skype equivalent. And no, of course it does that. They have access to their files or otherwise and things like that. But if we want to put ourselves in the best place as employees into the future and also as managers to have a productive workforce, I think we really need to understand how technology facilitates our hybrid kind of working arrangements. And that's digging into, okay, how can we use online portals to share our learning? How can we use repositories of information, including simple things like OneNote, to actually share best practice and share readings and share our processes and things like that? So I'd encourage people, look, if you're going to change jobs and yet, I don't like to call it this, but future of work kind of scenarios, it's actually being able to understand and use that technology to be efficient and continuing to do so, not just jumping on a video call, not just downloading your Word doc and saving it on your desktop. It's actually how to use that information to collaborate and share amongst it. And companies like Microsoft, many of us use that at work, have a range of tools and collaborative technologies there. And if we can really embrace that, I think employers will love it and we'll be able to transition to different organisations that use similar systems.
Yeah, something to think about. Thanks very much for your time. HR expert Jonathon Woolfrey. Look forward to chatting again next week, Jonathon.
Me too, Anthony. Thanks for your time.